nothing she has done since this petition surfaced shows that indeed she qualifies to be referred to as a Chief Justice, and I mean every word of it. You know, when the petition was sent to the presidency, I think I was one of those, among those that said, look, negotiate your exit. Take a cue from Abe Fortas in the US. When as a Supreme Court judge, he was also, in fact, in his case, he had taken $20,000 from the Worsen Foundation. And at that time, there wasn't any law in the US that mandated any Supreme Court judge who was given a gift to declare. But Congress said, yes, once you have taken money, they couldn't trust your credibility. He processed the situation and said, for the sake of the judiciary, I will resign. They knew Nixon wanted to get him out, to get a more conservative Supreme Court judge in there. But they said, look, I'm only one, let me resign, and let the judiciary be. So, on the basis of this, I advise that, madam, negotiate your exit. We have elders in this country who could have helped you out. At that time, some of our brothers from the MPP did not help the matters. That is the truth of the matter. Because everything we have been told in Article 146 says that the proceedings and everything to do with impeachment or removal of a CJ has to be done in camera. But you and I were in this country when we heard or saw Vincent Asifua go to court. He that had not been petitioned, he went to court that the CJ had not received a copy of the petition. How did Vincent Asifua get to know that the CJ hadn't received a copy of the petition? Because the CJ had leaked that information to Vincent Asifua. As if that was not enough. The counsel for Vincent Asifua was Godfrey Dame. Is that not the case? The petition was given to the CJ, the matter became moot, and they submitted a supplementary or filed a supplementary motion that everything was unconstitutional, but they must stop everything, which was also dismissed by the Supreme Court. You see, if, like my brother said, if she was going to go down alone, that wouldn't be a problem. But this unwavering attempt to destroy institutions, the Chief Justice may think that she's only targeting the presidency and, for that matter, the government. But she's also hurting the image of the Council of State. In fact, she doesn't respect them at all. Because the Constitution is so clear that before you establish a prima facie case, it has to be done in consultation with the Council of State. 31 members of the Council of State, including former Chief Justice and Speakers of Parliament, President of the National House of Chiefs, a lot of chiefs on it, businessmen and so on and so forth. So is the Chief Justice telling us that all these people hate her, and that all these people can be manipulated to behave in a certain way? So now the attempt to remove this CJ happened during Akufo Addo's regime. Remember the petition that was filed by Professor Kwaku Asare? Yeah. He raised fundamental issues. That the CJ was attempting to do something that was unconstitutional. That is nominating judges to the Supreme Court. What are you doing in this country? Yeah. The president then, Nana Akufo Addo, together with the Council of State, said they didn't see any questions that necessitated the removal of the CJ. He dismissed the petition. In fact, the president was so much concerned about why that petition had to be leaked. That was his focus. And that he was even looking at provisions within our criminal code, our jurisprudence, that could nail Professor Kwaku Annan, so that by now he will be languishing in his home for you attempting to remove the Chief Justice. He dismissed it. Now a new government comes to power. Someone petitions. A prima facie case is established. committee is set up, you are asked to step aside. All these things are contained in our constitution. And you say someone is hunting you. Then it is the people of this country that are hunting you, because whatever is happening is contained in the constitution. This constitution has been accepted by the people of this country. So if there are any wrongdoings happening, you must be angry at the constitution. And not individuals who are only doing what is expected of them under the laws of the land. When you yourself have said the law is the law. Now you see what she did the last time, Senna. If no contempt charges are brought against her, it has opened the floodlight. I bet you there is no case that will go to court that I will not comment on it. Take it from me. If contempt charges, if the woman is not cited for contempt, nobody can prevent anybody from commenting on a live case. Because that's what she has done. So lawless. So lawless. And we must not be counted. I am very disappointed in the husband, honestly. Husbands are supposed to protect. He must not allow this to be continuing. What did she come to tell the people of this country as being violations? That she was searched. She was searched whilst attending to committee meetings. Hey, madam. So you were not supposed to be searched. What she has even done presupposes that the searching of her was very important. Can you imagine this woman going with cameras? She will go and video everything and edit and throw it into the system. So that is the one worry. The second worry has to do with the venue. Edu Lodge. Senna, you see where the High Court is? If I tell you what happened to my great-great-grandfather at that location, Nanedu. Anytime I am invited to this court and I remember what happened to Nanedu, I can't think far. But I'm compelled to go because I've been summoned. Everyone has an issue with the location, but go and speak your side of the story. You say location. So that one too cannot be countenance. Say the husband was not allowed to enter into the venue. The amount of violations. And you wonder which provisions in the constitution states that when you are invited before any committee of inquiry, your husband or your wife must be by you. That one too is another matter that she spent so much time on. Say the first day his lawyer was not acknowledged, but what she failed to do, even if it's anything to go by, is that the subsequent days was the lawyer allowed to do whatever he wanted. That one is absent. The Chief Justice tells us that in spite of the provisions in Article 146 or 144 thereof, that before judges are nominated to the Supreme Court, there has to be a consultation with the Judicial Council. So there is a practice, it's established practice, that the Chief Justice, together with the Attorney General and the Ghana Bar Association, they give us the judges. Oh, she's exposing things. Oh. You ask yourself whether the Attorney General, the Ghana Bar Association, and the Chief Justice, they constitute the Judicial Council. His answer is an emphatic no. And this is supposed to be a violation. Then she takes on Daniel Ofori, clean. She doesn't respect the man at all. But you see, for her information, for the information of your viewers, I have said it here before. Daniel Ofori is not just Daniel Ofori, he's an investor. He has a huge investment in this country. So if you are talking about him, you must also be measured. Now, Daniel Ofori being matured, I'm sure you have read his response. He said he's not going to respond to the Chief Justice in spite of the clear lies or falsehoods told at the press conference. That is how things are supposed to be done. You are a Chief Justice. You are supposed to lead our justice system. You are supposed to straighten the judiciary. The very person that is mandated to do that is now in the public space complaining of injustice. Then it marks of failure. That you don't have to be in that space. Look, Mr. Daniel Ofori raised 21 issues of misbehavior and 4 issues of incompetence. Go to the committee and explain your side. Now you are telling us that the committee, you are angry because the committee did not even give you a copy of the petition. So you ask yourself, which petition did she respond to the president? So she doesn't trust the president or the committee members because they could change it. Would it not benefit you if the president gave me petition A that contains issues to do with farming, and the committee is dealing with issues dealing with football? Who will lose? Would it not be the committee? These two must you come and tell us. She makes the point that she has received threats. Hey, madam, Torkonuu to receive threats and will keep quiet. It will never happen. Palpable falsehood. She told the people of this country without evidence. And at the same time that she was telling us that she received threats and then be lambasting the people of this country plus the government, at the end of the program I saw 2 tall policemen offering protection to her. What a beautiful country. You go and speak your mind and afterwards police guides you. Are you not happy with that? So, Sana, the long and short of what the Chief Justice came to do was to appeal to the people of this country to beg for her to have her entitlement. I mean, that is the summary to what she did. But to say that, you don't have to go round in circles. Acknowledge that you goofed. Should have negotiated your exit. But if you have realized that where things are going is not favoring, there is a way to go around it. Because he said now it's not an option because of a decided case. And that you could lose all your entitlement. So you are going to fight to the end. No, let us do something about entitlement if that is the case. So that we will have our peace of mind. But now you are discrediting your own colleagues. From Justice Foreman to Justice Siedu, to even those that sat on your case. Because when you went to the Supreme Court, one of the reliefs that you were seeking was that this whole committee hearing has to be heard in public. Is that the case? They refused. Now you are in the public. It means you don't even respect that decision. When you yourself have told us that when matters are before any court, we have no business commenting about them, then you come and do this against what is stated in the Constitution. By now she must be preparing herself to resign. But I would plead with this administration that if there are ways of, as it were, forgiving her wrongs, to look into the matter of entitlement, because that seems to be the case. I'm not the president anyway. That could be looked at. And other than that, the angle that she is trying to go, it will not help her. I'll end it here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And he referred to that statement by Mr. Daniel Ofori, who says, my attention has been drawn to a media engagement on 25th June 2025 by the suspended Chief Justice, at which she publicly discussed the contents of my petition for a removal as Chief Justice and the proceedings in respect of the petition. The Chief Justice is acting in clear breach of the provisions of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, which requires the inquiry to be in camera. As a law-abiding citizen and out of respect for the constitutional process and the committee, I will not seek to go on the path of the suspended Chief Justice, not even to correct plain falsehoods in her statements. When it is constitutionally and legally appropriate to engage the public on matters regarding my petition and the process, I shall do so. Truth stands. And that's signed Daniel Ofori, who is one of the petitioners who have submitted a petition against the Chief Justice that have triggered Article 146 hearings that are currently being conducted by the committee. They are supposed to be in camera, but the Chief Justice gave us a taste of how she feels about how the committee is going about its work and the petition before the committee.
The suspended Chief Justice invited the media for a press conference. And she announced to the world that she cannot be Chief Justice again. She gave us reasons why nobody under any circumstance should appoint a person like her as Chief Justice of this country. One, she demonstrated an incapacity to rise above her prejudice. She demonstrated an incapacity to come out, of a family history which has clouded her judgment and affected her emotional stability. I mean, anybody suffering from these symptoms must not be allowed to be Chief Justice. Because we expect that whoever is Chief Justice will be fair to all those who appear before her. This one is incapable of being fair to all those who appear before her. One of the major complaints is this: that when the sittings are taking place, something to do with the murder of Major Aqua took place there. And that Major Aqua was her uncle who looked after her. And because of that, she's emotionally traumatized. These are her words. So I ask, Justice, Her Ladyship, Lordship Torkonuu is sitting in the Supreme Court. And somebody appears before her, and the person is called Amatekwe. That person, ab initio, has lost his case. Ab initio. It doesn't matter how the case is presented, it doesn't matter the legal validity and so on. Simply being called Amatekwe, trouble, lost your case. And this is what she is saying. Okay? It's not that somebody is saying, she is saying. It is obvious from what she's saying, from what she herself is saying, that anything which is remotely connected to the murder of the judges and the retired army officer shifts her balance. So you can count the thousands, maybe millions of things that have some connection with that regrettable development in our history. Okay? Now, don't you forget that the NDC claims its beginnings from the PNDC. And don't you forget that one of those who was executed for that gruesome murder was a member of the PNDC. So the hostility to the NDC is established. And perhaps this is a window to understanding why some decisions were taken by her as Chief Justice. And this may also explain how somebody like her was jumped over her seniors to become Chief Justice. This press conference was very, very useful. And indeed, I wish that she would organize another one. so that we can begin to understand the person we're talking about. She says something else, which is very interesting. One of the things which traumatizes her is the absence of her husband. That in tense situations, when her husband is not around, she loses it. Wow. Head of the judiciary of Ghana. So when there are all these complicated constitutional issues before the Supreme Court and she's sitting in court, she's presiding over the Supreme Court, you have to bring her husband. Because if you don't bring the husband, trouble. Look, she said these things about herself. If somebody had said these things about her, I would have been very angry with the person. Yeah. But these are statements that she's making about herself. That in times of tension, the husband has to be in the room. So when there was that dispute over whether or not the speaker could actually suspend or remove members of parliament, and it became a heated argument, major political issue, and she was sitting in the Supreme Court. Was her husband in the court that day? And if the husband was not in the court, how did that affect her? Unbelievable. You see, Sana, unfortunately today we don't have enough time. One of the other things that the suspended Chief Justice did was to display her exceptional lack of knowledge of the law. I mean, what she did to herself that day at the press conference was terrible. Look, me, I haven't gone to law school. I am not a lawyer. In fact, the only law we learnt was in the Institute of Journalism where we did press law. Yeah. So, but there are some basic things that even us, we know. We know, for example, that the law is the text of the law itself, the hardcore text of the law, in addition to what is referred to as precedent, decisions of the courts, especially decisions of the Supreme Court. The suspended Chief Justice did not know that the Supreme Court, at least on 3 occasions, has pronounced on the confidentiality, the in-camera hearing of Article 146 cases. She didn't know. Senna, she didn't know. She says she doesn't know that the law says that the proceedings has to be held in camera. She didn't know. She didn't know the law.
The law is the law.
My goodness. I mean, look, Senna, there are 3 cases which the Supreme Court has determined on this matter. And the first one is Justice Derry versus Tiger Eye. You remember, you recall that. Second one is the Gertrude versus the Attorney General. And the third one is the Ghana Bar Association versus the Attorney General. Our suspended Chief Justice did not know. Unbelievable. And the worst part is the fact that the suspended Chief Justice is now holding a press conference, looking all of us in the face and telling us that the judiciary can be manipulated for political purposes. The judiciary, she just left.
She's not even left.
She hasn't left.
Well, the judiciary she presided over She is now telling us that it can be manipulated. Politicians can play games with the judiciary. So when she was sitting there as Supreme Court judge, what did she see? What did she do? And if indeed the judiciary can be so manipulated, is that not sufficient reason why we, the citizens of Ghana, must support every effort to reform the judiciary? Hey, Justice Isaba Torkonuu, why did she do this to herself? You know, this is something that she should have allowed her worst enemies to do to her. But she chose to do it herself. She actually expended resources to do this damage to herself. I can't believe it. Anyway, be that as it may, now that we know, now that she has told us that in the absence of her husband she cannot function, now that she has told us that even when she enters a place, the height of the walls have effects on her. You remember that Edu Lodge, the walls of Edu Lodge are too high. It frightens her and so on. Well, she decided to do this to herself. I really, really, honestly pity her. What can I say? We don't have enough time. Let's leave it here.
Evan, ebi say Mahama sisa. Mova fonyin into so mami. Abrana oka the law is the law no. Ene eyenra de no. Production team wait my me favor na motumi aye nti we yenra de no. We opposition ma hwe Abrana or power Akufo Addo. Abreso nti ma hu the difference no. Mu de mumi entie tu no. The law is ono kasa no smile. But no am say nanim no. I to say okay, but listen, we are 2 minutes behind me. The law is the law, and
no matter how many noises are made, the law is the law.
And no difference, you know. Bono kakrama me why madam.
To launch facility that the hearings are being conducted in.
Say thank you. Production team. Muya jumani say animo mani Ivan. Yanko.
The kind ma mencha we Dr. Aremeyaw Holy Family Hospital of your program.
Otchere, right?
Otchere, medical director. Okay. No baby obia. Enra minya kwenya ehwe press conference in Kakrabat. Mantimi ahwe anwie. Because I was very embarrassed and very ashamed looking at Nema na Ekoso. But the na Ekoso na you could see a visibly shattered woman. Or broken and clutching at straws. And some now all can be any who are sabi ubetimi nyansa bia wom. Oh. And for her as a chief justice, I'm for well respect for her and as a for no. They were all acting on a grown woman acting on children's wisdom.
Oh, Ivan.
So be a when but wisdom now all pretty no. I am cry wisdom. We say cry wisdom so there because near man na ogusa no ye no. I say why suppose no ho say Ghana for tetanus na basa. Mugabe. And what she did yesterday no on one kasa sealing the fate she's done. And I am saying that she cannot continue to be Chief Justice. Maybe the reason why. So, petition now, the Constitution says must be heard in camera. And the actors in it don't have any right to bring it to public. The Constitution says that the whole proceedings must be heard in camera. The Chief Justice of the Republic of this country, and the administrative head of the judiciary, it is her job to safeguard the integrity of the judiciary. She's privy to this constitutional provision, but decided, say, a document that is supposed to be a private document and the Constitution explicitly says, say, must be heard in camera, no, or time petition by TV, so eba bekeka mu nsem de kire Ghana for. Doing that, you know, your position as a chief justice become untenable. Asem na make no enti committee no proceedings na ekoso no. Se maame no di bem kura na se osan ba, we can drag her to court for this massive constitutional breach for her to be removed. Because Adia Oya and Rana Meka said because she's emotionally, your friend saying, driven, you know, and she's acting on children's wisdom, no. Onyo who said what she did yesterday, you know, or no ankasa signed the fate, the last nail to the coffin, you know, or the Bomenra. Because what she did yesterday, you know, was a flagrant abuse of the constitutional provision. The destiny must be heard in a way. And again, Mugabe. And some now original man na okikano, you could see conspiracy theories. Because nothing she said that are grounded in law. Because law no, you ever say we nim nyansa apa kofa legon regu yam still we nim nyansa. We nim nyansa. Say we nim nyansa apa legon dynasty or pa kofa no fa tweti an opa we because in some now all cano the poverty of intellect, logic, any reason and I will you begin to ask yourself Mami when annoy a chief justice. Because in some now can be hot transfer for instance, or say Edu's lodge. Modern corner, intimidating. Who cares about your personal emotions? Who cares about your personal emotions? You don't call your friends Edu's lodger. You are talking about somebody you are being accused and the constitutional process has been set in motion. You don't determine where that particular proceeding should happen. Whether be a state, you know, and they choose you. And at the end of the day, where they choose, you know, has nothing to do with Edu's lodge, you know. What kind of nonsense is this? But because she's arrogant, you know, she doesn't see say Nemana or you know, what's it? Arrogant. Oh, very arrogant, very despicable, filthy, arrogant character. And because and yes, sir, and can you know how can you do this? Because again, process now air cost, you know, it's emotion. You are part of the process. You've not disconnected yourself from the process. Young judges now she's casting some kind of a spin on the judges, especially Justice Ponamine, because the reason is Daniel Ofori no de asemaba
Supreme Court ansana mameba.
Wodati
2016 no otesu.
Oseponamine na ote a case no so no adi asem ama Daniel Ofori pen ama Daniel Ofori adibem. Justice Asiedu na no issue no mo de court no wadibi enti no enu no omonye ya friend say omba bias. But this is a chief justice, the administrative head of the judiciary. We know making sure that people no will be integrity driven individual, honesty and candor will be on their part. Now you as a chief justice cannot guarantee the honesty and the integrity of the people you are working with. And you want the ordinary Ghanaian to guarantee that particular thing. And I make us and some now so what's now rationally, if you want to put it on the table and analyze her, you could see clearly say and she rather exposing herself. And again, one accusation and say shining star no crano or court registrar we are. There is nowhere in the constitution that says say group at the petition president that they should be a registered group. There is nowhere in the constitution that says a mutual petition president even within crime function. But it is only fair say you breach the principles of natural justice in anonymity. No, I'm saying there is nowhere in the constitution that says mutual petition president you remove her. Go and read the constitution. It is nowhere say even your name should be there. But in implementing it, we are human beings. You cannot accuse somebody without knowing your accusers, and it's the reason why I am making sure say okay, be known. Some able to verify. That is why I want whistleblowers and sometimes proceedings to me because but we're able to deal with the issue to the logical conclusion. I'm not a lawyer, but look at this coherent analysis that I'm making. But this is a chief justice, and she's making all this nonsense of allegation, just trying to build up conspiracy theories. She's being hounded. Adia was a smear campaign directing at John Mahama, just trying to shop public attention. Oh, me say
dead on arrival.
She's just a small piece of the bigger judicial puzzle now you try to solve no or no she's insignificant. Yes, she's insignificant. She's just a small piece of the larger puzzle. And no, because the average Ghanaian now who call for sympathy no is concerned about the integrity of our judiciary. And for me, where I sit as a Ghanaian, in recent time when I look at the Supreme Court rulings, every Supreme Court, a market woman at Makola can look at it and say, there is no sense in the ruling. For instance, how can you tell me it's a birth certificate and yet your friend is saying primary document, but travel document are your passport. If you are not traveling, you don't need a passport. Travel document in your private passport. How can we be sensible as a judge and make this particular ruling? These are things that I'm for lose trust and confidence in the judiciary. And again, my man Ankasani doing. And she's talking about your friends integrity. Yantiana Akufo Addo appointee obi a oye field parliamentary candidate of the MPP in the person of George Jau. I'm on betena panel so. Issue no buy go, issue no buy no. Your friend is saying, sorry, always concern about Chief Justice Kachire say proceeding na e koso no any political issue. I'm asking her say proceeding na e koso ene no. Is it a political issue? Because Daniel Ofori is not a politician. Police in India or this should look like a politician. Shining Star and a politician. So what is a problem? And again,
when you be defending to say a former attorney general, MPP for any idea. Oh, Nasa, I don't know that Mogabi, Mamin San can send back control. One of the in some no one. In some no kind of see oh Shining Star no or person come make Gina a your friend say or mama to one. Almost another sound beba. Okay, sir, we know kind of say like she want to put them and ask them questions, you know. They are not ready. Court and by force. Now I would have 2020 elections I call it. Chachuchi Kata wanted your first German to come and testify. Mo ka kire say mo man no kwan man omegina box enyanto na toko no ka hu bi na ene obi a Shining Star no so me or my testify because and you can just write affidavit in support of your friends initial petition and the court will sit on it. That is what I'm telling you. Say you see if or you be a sense of shame because you will not be putting that package of nonsense that she put out there yesterday. Press conference.
It's just she was just manufacturing nonsense and attempting to sell same to Ghanaians, but we are not ready to buy it. And again, I say president establishing the premier facia, no president Ed, and I'm asking her and challenging her as a Supreme Court judge, say. Constitution article being a president breach here because Mugabe yati the constitution is very vague in its interpretation dealing with some of these. It says the president will receive a petition and forward same to Council of State to establish merit credence and make sure the threshold within which something can be identified as a petition or qualified. Yeah. President J and all forwarded the same to Council of State. Mamin can say yati there is no single constitutional procedure be a certain emotional regularizing how premier facie should be established. All that we know is the president receive a petition for it to Council of State. That has always been the process. Yet there are any problem. So now president I the same process. You have the gut to come to the public space and say you are being handed for the and nobody even wanted to resign at this point. We want to get to the bottom of this particular matter. And again, also President Asane a warrant of way on Tiasia. You see, this woman is a joke. Mugabe tie, my time tie. So, constitution, you know, it's quite clear. We don't need to go to law school and say what I say. Constitution is say. So Council of State established the premier facie which means credence has been established. And the next line, I say and set up a committee. So President set a committee. Then there is a constitutional discretionary injunction on the president to exercise either to suspend the woman or let her stay. That power is solely rested with the president. Nobody can exercise that power apart from the president. So this is the power that president has exercised. Then the Chief Justice go on public and say what? I think she should give us a break. And again, last one. Or say, I'm for 13 is on resigning. Now, will be our Chief Justice will be threatening press conference. Why don't you go to the police? Fantastic. So you see, I think that what she did was an attention shopping stunt. Something or try to blackmail the president. But trust me, John Mahama a mistake now of falling for some of these things. Now, now or instead woman where you pressure so I think that is bigger than the one who paying because Ghanaians are more say yen sanitize your judiciary. You don't also change or no more fighting for. But we want the judiciary to be sanitized, and for me, that is what we are looking out for.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.